The bird that conquered the world. Imagine a battlefield in the 3rd century. BCE, Roman soldiers stand tense, armor glinting under the Mediterranean sun. Their general waits for a sign before engaging the enemy. Not from the sky, not from the gods themselves, but from a wooden cage full of chickens. The sacred birds are supposed to eat grain, confirming divine approval for the fight. But on this day they refuse. The general, Publius Claudius Pulcher, furious at their insolence, shouts, "If they will not eat, then let them drink." He hurls them into the sea, then presses forward with the battle. His fleet is crushed, his men slaughtered. And in Roman memory, the real mistake was not a tactical blunder. It was ignoring the chickens. It sounds absurd. Chickens, those clucking, scratching barnyard birds we think of at breakfast, once held the fate of armies in their beaks. They were not just food, they were omens, companions, gambling stars, symbols of fertility and courage. The bird we now dismiss as ordinary was once extraordinary. Fast forward 2,000 years. The scene has changed, not dusty villages or sacred altars, but endless rows of climate-controlled barns stretching across the American Midwest, Europe, Brazil, and China. Inside, millions of chickens are raised with a precision that would astonish a Roman augur. Computers regulate the temperature, feeders dispense scientifically balanced rations, and the birds themselves are so carefully bred that a broiler can reach market weight in just a few weeks. The chicken has become a machine for meat and eggs, the most produced and consumed bird in human history. So how did we get here? How did a nervous forest bird, the red junglefowl of Southeast Asia, become the world's most ubiquitous farm animal? Why did humans choose chickens? And why, in a sense, did chickens choose us? That is the story we're about to unravel. 1. Chickens are everywhere today. Chickens outnumber people almost 3 to 1. Every year, more than 70 billion are raised for meat and eggs. They feed cities. They shape economies. They spark debates over animal welfare and sustainability. They've shown up in literature, in advertising, in politics, even in spaceflight. Yes, NASA once experimented with fertilized chicken eggs in microgravity, and yet despite their overwhelming presence, chickens remain strangely invisible. We see nuggets and wings, but not the long arc of history that made them possible. Their story is entwined with ours at every stage, from the rise of rice farming in Bronze Age Southeast Asia, to ceremonies in the Roman Republic, to the industrial revolutions that reshaped farming forever. Chickens aren't just livestock. They are a mirror of human priorities. When we wanted omens, they were prophets. When we craved spectacle, they were fighters. When we sought efficiency, they became biological marvels. 2. The long story of domestication. If we peel back the feathers of history, we find a very different bird at the root, the red junglefowl. It still struts through the forests of Southeast Asia today, shimmering plumage, proud crow, wary of predators. Thousands of years ago, it began edging closer to people, not out of loyalty, but out of opportunity. Rice farmers unintentionally set the stage. Flooded paddies drew insects. Harvests spilled grain. For junglefowl, human fields became buffets, and for people, these birds were too useful to ignore. A tame junglefowl meant a steady trickle of eggs, occasional meat, feathers for decoration. Slowly, over generations, the first chickens emerged. This wasn't a single moment. It was a gradual partnership, shaped by opportunity, by patience, and by preference. The calmest birds, the best layers, the easiest to handle, they were kept and bred. Over time, the junglefowl became a chicken. From there, they spread outward. They boarded Austronesian canoes across the Pacific, traveled with merchants along the Silk Road, stood in the courts of pharaohs and in the markets of Greece. By the time of the Roman Empire, they were firmly part of daily life across Eurasia and Africa. 3. Sacred, symbolic, and sometimes silly. But here's the fascinating part. Chickens were not always primarily food. In many ancient societies, they were first and foremost symbols. In Greece, cockfighting was both entertainment and allegory, a display of courage. In Rome, as we've seen, they were consulted for auguries. In India, their crowing tied them to myths of gods and demons. Across Asia and Africa, roosters became symbols of dawn, vigilance, and masculinity. Even the egg carried mystical weight. Its perfect shape, its role in birth and creation. In some cultures, it was the very origin of the cosmos. This dual role, ordinary and sacred, explains why chickens spread so quickly. They could be food, faith, or fun. They fit into almost any niche a society required. 4. From village companions to industrial giants. For most of history, chickens lived small lives. A few hens scratching in the yard, eggs for the table, meat for the pot. This pattern held for centuries, until the age of industrialization cracked it open. In the 19th and 20th centuries, new technologies arrived. Incubators, scientific feeds, selective breeding. By the mid-1900s, contests like the American Chicken of Tomorrow project created the first modern broilers, birds engineered for speed, for size, for yield. The transformation was complete. What had been a scrappy seasonal egg layer became a year-round production machine. What had been an occasional stew bird became the centerpiece of global fast food. 5. Why chickens matter. So why tell this story? Because chickens are more than food. They are a case study in how humans reshape the natural world and how animals reshape us. They influenced religious rituals in the ancient world. They shaped agriculture and rural economies in the early modern era. And today they spark debates about sustainability, ethics, and biotechnology. In short, the chicken is history written in feathers and eggshells. 6. What's ahead? In the chapters that follow, we'll travel through time. The origins, junglefowl and the first farmers. Antiquity, chickens as sacred birds, fighters, and omens. The Middle Ages, village life, monasteries, and feasts. The early modern era, how exploration spread breeds across continents. The industrial age, poultry shows, hatcheries, and broiler science. The 20th century, factory farming and the global poultry industry. The 21st century, ethical farming, pandemics, and backyard flocks. At every step, the humble chicken reflects something bigger about human culture, economy, and imagination. 7. Closing. So the next time you see a chicken, whether it's a rooster crowing in a village or a nugget in a fast food bag, remember, you're looking at the product of thousands of years of shared history, a history filled with superstition, with science, with survival, and with surprising turns. The bird may look ordinary, but its story is anything but.